Holy Spirit, I'm here. We're here because of you. Just ask that you do make your presence known. Guide our thoughts, guide our voice, touch all that hear. Just use us as willing vessels for your glory. Help us to be fearless. Joshua 1:9. Even though we know we walk through the valley, the shadow of death, help us to fear no evil. As we dive deeper into this journey to discover more of who you are. Lord, we just ask that you be with us always. Help us to not make any missteps that lead anyone away from you, but just to guide them to your glory, to your love. We ask these things in your heavenly name, Father.
What's up?
What up? How you doing? Act like I haven't talked to you yet.
Hey, what?
So I'm gonna act like I haven't talked to you yet.
Well, last time we talked was like a week ago.
Or 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, you drinking tea like we about to be in the movie Get Out.
I'm not gonna stir it though. I'm not gonna stir it. No,
none of that. All right.
No.
All right.
I mean, if you move to Tennessee, maybe, but we don't need to talk about that.
Is that where that was? It took place in Tennessee?
I don't know if it took place in Tennessee. There's just some stuff going on in Tennessee right now that I don't like.
What's going on in Tennessee?
Christian nationalists are trying to set up a community city. Go back, they say stuff like the civil rights was like horrible for the United States, that kind of stuff. There's something I want to talk about eventually because I don't like how they're trying to say they're Christian.
Right. All right, we're gonna have to get one of them on the podcast once we get 5 listeners.
Ooh.
No,
I mean, I'll try. I'll have to be nice. They said they'll take black people as long as we're descendants from slaves, and we basically stay in our place. So I don't know if I can have a friendly conversation.
Well, if we have them on, then we can have your people from Peoria, Illinois, come on too, right across that bridge.
Oh, just have all type of racism in our show.
Why not? Why not? Why not? So what's going on? What are we doing here? This is episode 3.
I want to explain why I feel atheism is illogical. That's why we're here today.
So, okay. So why do you want to talk about atheism?
Because that's where we left off last episode. We were just getting into, we're talking about morality. And I was saying you can't have morality without a God.
So we were talking about it, and you were saying that if you don't believe, atheism is not believing in a presence of a God.
Right.
God.
There's no God. There's no God. Right.
Okay. And so you can't have good morals if you don't believe in a God.
The morals are irrelevant if there's no God. Is my stance on that.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna get into that. That's what we're getting into. Okay. So we talked about like the moral compass and treating people how you want to be treated. And I was like, okay, if you don't want to be beat up, you don't want to beat other people up, but some people might like to get beat up. Because that's somebody's personal feeling or belief of what's right and wrong and how they should act or treat others. Right. Okay. So I know people. We're jumping right into it. So I know people have different sets of morals.
Yes.
Cultures have different morals.
Yes.
Things how you're raised, are part of that moral. That's part of your moral. So if an atheist is raised by atheists and they don't believe in any gods, you're saying they can't be a good person.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if they play out their mindset to its conclusion, their morals are irrelevant. If they believe they're accidents, why does it matter if someone kills someone else? If we're all just chemicals and gas that have no meaning or value.
But again, as we talked about, morals come from different facets of a person's life and upbringing. And so even if you're an atheist and I'm your black grandma, you know how black grandmas are.
Right.
And I'm your black grandma and I believe in God and I'm a part of your life and I influence you in a certain way, which is I'm saying, hey, you don't hit people, you listen to adults, blah, 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 blah. I'm setting some rules, some boundaries, because in a black family, the grandmother typically was the monarch of the family. That's kind of where my life changed, is when I was 13, when my grandmother passed. So it's been 31 years. Her birthday was December 1st. It was, December 1st was when her birthday was. So I was taught a certain way. I get smacked in the face and in the mouth if I was mean to my sister, just for being mean to my sister. She would pop me in the mouth. I'm like, what I do? I don't. That's my little sister. I'm supposed to be. I'm the big brother. I'm supposed to be like that. So no matter if I don't believe in a God or anything, but because I had an influence in my life that told me not to do these things, and atheist people have people in their life that have morals, that do believe in God, just because they don't believe it in themselves, so they can have good instilled in them because of what their surroundings or background or upbringing was.
True.
So
you're misunderstanding my argument, though.
Okay, what am I misunderstanding?
I'm not saying they can't be good. I'm saying good isn't defined by us. And if there's no God, then we are the ones that are defining good. And that just.
Who's calling you?
Tina.
What she want? We don't tell her. She know we on the podcast, right?
She doesn't. I didn't tell her that.
Oh, you should have told her that, because she's gonna keep blowing you up. Then she's gonna get mad because you're ignoring her, and she's gonna be like all the other crazy girls that you done been with.
Come on now. Stop with the Tina slander. That's not what we're here.
That was not Tina slander.
You said she's gonna be like the other crazy girls. She's special.
That's what I'm talking about. No, but like what? But you're talking about if we make up the good. But I believe that every person. I don't know. Are you born? I mean, I don't know anybody that was like born an atheist. I don't really think I know many atheists. I believe most people I know have some spirituality that I know of, but I've never had that conversation to ask them if they're an atheist. But I believe that because of where the people that migrated here came from and brought old world traditions and old world beliefs over here, and I believe that the native land people that were here, they believed in something. So there was always some presence of God, of spirituality in everything that we've, kind of done, because you come over in that standpoint. So when I look at this, I say that while we may have atheists today, I still believe a lot of people had spiritual guidance throughout their lives, whether it was people around them, people that they grew up with. I believe that there was there. So I believe that the good is in people, no matter if they're atheists or not. I believe that they have some kind of moral compass that aligns with a lot of people.
Yeah, the Bible says that God put good, like a sense of like a conscience in everyone, so we know what good is. But I'm saying good is defined not by people, it's defined by God. And if you don't think there's a God, then you can't put value on anything. Because we're all accidents.
But that may be what that atheist, that person believe. We should have had an atheist. You got to ask people if they're atheists. We should have an atheist on here for the conversation, because we are speculating right now.
How are we speculating? I'm not speculating. I'm saying this as how my logic sees it.
Now, I get that, but from my vantage point is I believe that somebody, if there's an atheist right now, a 40-year-old atheist has had some influence of God and spirituality in their life at some point in time. And so they do have morals. They do have that right path.
I'm not saying that atheists don't have morals. I'm saying if they think about it, their morals have no meaning. So like let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
Just take the Big Bang. All right. If you take the Big Bang, just a big fluke happens and there's a planet that can support life and there's life. And so like from all this dust became plants and all this other stuff. So we're just space dust.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So if we're just space dust, accidents, there's no inherent value on us because we're all accidents. So if your definition of good is, like we said the last time, I'm just going to punch everyone I see in the face because I like to get punched in the face. And someone else's definition of good is I'm going to cut off toes. How can they argue which one is good and which is not? Because it's coming from two accidents from their standpoint.
I understand that piece. That makes sense when you explain it that way. From the Big Bang from there. But if we're talking real world applications, we're talking about the real
world. I'm talking about real world.
So why did we get on the atheist topic?
Because I don't know what brought it up. I was just talking about if we were talking about like, is there God and who is God and like that's the whole purpose of why we're here. So to get to that point, you first need to establish, is there a God?
Okay.
And some people think there's not a God. And I'm saying that's illogical. I don't think anyone should have that stance because life never comes from nothing. There's never a time where complex design, art, thought process, math came from an accident. None of that makes sense.
This is a deep one.
So like, even like science says our universe has a beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a beginning and you're an atheist, you believe that beginning came from nothing. And I'm saying that beginning came from God. Which one sounds crazier?
Say it again.
So science says our universe, sun, moon, stars, earth, planets, all that has a starting point. And there was nothing, and then there was complex, universe. Atheists are saying that our existence came from nothing. And I'm saying that starting point came from God. So which one sounds more ridiculous? That's basically my point.
Yeah, that does sound ridiculous, but I think just like there are different levels of Christians, there are different levels of atheists. There are some atheists, I think, that believe in certain things, but
if you're atheist, you're saying there's no God. If you're agnostic, that's saying there is a God, you just don't know where it is, who it is. And we're going to get into that. I'm just
definition. Atheism is the absence or rejection of belief in deities.
Yeah. So we're all just here.
But there are different types of atheists: wide atheists, narrow atheists, and atheists who question the concept of God. So there are different atheists, just like there are different Christians or different Jews.
Yeah, but go back to what does atheist mean? There's no God.
It's the absence or rejection in belief of deities.
And if you're rejecting God, then why?
That don't mean you don't believe in God. That means you're rejecting.
No, agnostic means you're saying there's a God, you just don't know who that God is.
Yeah, but you're just rejecting the belief in deities. People, you see the deities, you see it all around you, and you're rejecting it. It's kind of
that's saying like there wasn't a God that created everything.
And that's what you're basically, now we're gonna get deep. You're calling me an atheist.
No, I'm not.
Because the question and how this really started was,
I'm not calling you atheist though.
We get in later. What you said we're gonna get into later, dinosaurs. And this whole time, and you talked about the time, the quasars, the moon, the stars. Now hold on, no, just hear me out. Like this is how we kind of got on this. So if I'm talking about a timeline, and I'm telling you that this timeline here, from what science is telling us and these books that we've been taught to go through all of our life, there is this time frame. I know you can see a last dragon in the background. There's this time frame, and not dragons, dinosaurs existed prior to what the Bible says was the start. So if I believe in science and I believe that there are dinosaurs at this 30 million years BC,
I need to just pause you for a second.
Yeah.
Because when we first talked, I didn't interrupt you. But like if I hear something I need to push back on, I'm going to do it before it gets too far. The Bible doesn't make a science claim. So you're saying science says dinosaurs existed before the Bible says. The Bible doesn't say. So it's like science doesn't contradict the Bible.
Science goes before the Bible.
No, the Bible starts with time.
But science says there were dinosaurs before the Bible started.
The Bible.
Oh, hold on, but right
in the beginning.
But the Bible, that book says in the beginning.
Yeah.
But science that we have been taught,
okay,
correct, does go back before that, because when the Bible starts, there is time and there are years before that.
No,
science, right?
No, the Bible starts in the beginning. Like the Bible tells you when time, space, and matter start.
So why is there then explain to me why there's a time limit on like the BC? Like,
what do you mean there's a time limit?
When does BC start? Before Christ.
Yeah.
So explain the before Christ and after death to me.
The calendar.
So like,
I mean, we just started zero with Jesus' life. That's all.
But there's a BC.
Yeah. So we were. And that was done like when Jesus was walking the earth. They weren't saying BC AD. That was like later on when we started numbering the years.
But that's where I'm saying, that's where I'm getting at, is that if it was 30,000 years BC, 30,000 years before Christ, there was dinosaurs. I don't know if it's 30,000 years, but 30,000 BC. Okay. There's a movie like it says some kind of thousands of BC. I got to look that movie up now. But if there's that, and then God happens, because now
God did it all according to the Bible, according to my faith. Jesus is brought us all together. Jesus spoke us into existence, everything.
But we talked about the fact that science talks
planet, space, all that. Jesus is holding it together.
So he did. So shouldn't there be? So there was no. So for billions of years and hundreds of years, Jesus was by himself as the only person that looked like.
I don't know how you sound to yourself, but like I heard like robotic voice.
Oh, I mean, I'm seeing a glitch on my screen a little bit, and I don't know why there's a glitch on my screen. My connection is unstable.
3 people.
What people? Oh, yeah. Okay, y'all that watch it.
Yeah.
If you're on Wi-Fi, I'm right next to my. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm right here, so I don't know. I'll try to go back there. But if there's BC, and we have these God was there by himself and just made these animals that we find in these bones of.
Okay, because let's take the numbers off because it's going to throw me off.
Okay, let's take the numbers.
It's not something I studied. So
the bones and carbon dating say that it was before a long time ago. Not before God. Sorry, not before God. It was a long time ago before the Bible started, where there was.
Here's my point. Okay. There's nothing before the Bible started. Before the Bible starts when time starts. In the beginning, there's nothing. According to the Bible, there's nothing. Okay, so there's no space, there's no time, there's no matter. All those things have to start at the same time, and God exists outside of that.
Somebody making food at your house?
That's a dryer. So, like, let's take Marvel movie Endgame. Okay, so Hulk had to go talk to that lady with the time turner thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was doing the timelines and stuff, right?
Yep.
Okay, so God.
She moved the stone, and it made the
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, like, say we have a timeline.
Okay.
God said, "Boop, it starts," and everything
Okay.
in that timeline he created. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't. He can move wherever he wants in that timeline. He's outside of it. That's what the Bible says.
So, so when did we find dinosaurs? I'm stuck with.
I know you're stuck on dinosaurs. I'm saying I don't know about. I can't put a year on it because I'm not there. But the Bible is not a science book, so it doesn't say the dinosaurs were 30,000 BC.
Next episode is going to be about dinosaurs. It's going to be titled Dinosaurs, and so you got to do your research on dinosaurs because where I'm getting at is in the Bible, from what I read, and again, I grew up in the Bible up until I was 13 years old. Wow, it kind of coincides. I kind of stopped coinciding with my grandmother dying. Is now I got to talk to my therapist about this when I talk to her next. I'm coinciding that, but that's deep right there.
It's something we definitely should touch on.
Death.
Yeah.
And
so it's not white people, it's your grandma.
It's my grandma. Oh, Ruby did it. Yeah. But there was no mention of them archaeologists digging up bones and dinosaurs. All this time when people are building these civilizations and things like that, there aren't mentions of these animals that we're finding their bones now. So either the bones are fake or the Bible is incomplete, which is what I've been talking about before, where there are so many different versions of the Bible.
Okay. All right. So stop. The Bible's not incomplete. The Bible is not a science book, is my point. The Bible's purpose is to tell you there's a God. Jesus is the way to get right with God and give you proof of God and the stories to help you how to live.
We need a sponsor.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, we both might be moving to Canada, so we might as well use Canada products.
Well, the UPS store, or not UPS, the United States Postal Service is now suspending deliveries to Canada because the Canadian Post Service is going on strike. Okay. So now there's going to be some issues with mail getting to Canada, to and from Canada. Just start on the news today.
I'm most likely pro Japan anyway, and not really Canada. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Back to the.
Said no, just FYI.
To what?
$20,000.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah. I remember. Yeah. It was South Korea, and of course she's gonna say no.
South Korea. She said no. Yeah, she said no. Yeah. So that's where listeners to the two of y'all. That's a different topic. But this goes back to our question of things like that. And so when I said you called me an atheist in a joking way, but when I'm having these questions there, just like an atheist rejects a being, a deity, that is what they do. They're rejecting it because they have these doubts or questions. Now, again, I grew up in it. I'm still spiritual. I know there's a God up there. There's a God. There is a God.
Then you're not atheist.
Yes, but I still, when some of these things, I still reject some of these things that are said.
That's fine.
And that's why we're having these conversations. So even though I don't reject it all, yes, I'm not an atheist. But what I'm saying is an atheist is rejecting them because they have deeper doubts than I do at times.
And that's why I'm starting with the argument against them, and then I'm going to hit you next.
Whoa! This is about atheism. Is a lie.
It's illogical.
Logical. Yeah.
I didn't say it was a lie. It says illogical.
The devil is a lie, from what Rick Ross said. But
one of my stance on why it's illogical is morality. Another one is if you're an atheist, you're basically saying nothing started stuff.
Yeah, I just, I don't know where my parents came from, but I believe it when they tell me they went from here to there.
So another thing I heard the other day, and like thinking about how to defend this argument, C.S. Lewis said, if you're an atheist, you can't even trust your own thoughts to make the argument that there's no God, because your thoughts are basically just an accident from space dust. So what makes you think there's even logical there? There's even a sound mind there? You're just an accident. just random electrons colliding with each other. So you can't even trust your thoughts if you weren't created by something that was intelligent.
But Mary didn't have sex and had a baby.
What are you doing? Okay.
I'm just because we are this journalism has two sides. But what I'm saying is that was an accident that happened, and there's no explanation for this because Joseph wasn't doing his thing, and she got pregnant, and there was a baby.
Okay, this is you're hitting stuff that my brother says that doesn't make sense to me.
It does, but it makes sense because what you're saying is if we're space dust and like we're an accident, Jesus was an accident. It's what we really
not what I'm saying.
Get to it.
That's not what I'm saying though.
But what are you saying? It's an accident. An accident. Like, you know, so there's the things that they believe comes from an accident. The things that the Bible and things that people believe about the Bible stem from an accident.
From an atheist standpoint, the Bible is just gibberish. I understand that. I'm not arguing from an atheist standpoint the Bible because I'm not atheist. So if I'm arguing for the Bible, I'm arguing that we have a creator. The creator gave us a way to know who he is through the Bible and the Holy Spirit. And so like I can strongly argue that Mary didn't get pregnant by accident because it was prophesied in the Old Testament and God said what family line it was going to be in, and it was going to be a virgin birth. So I can't say that's an accident, but that's beyond. That's me proving Jesus is God, and that's beyond atheism. Because right now, I just need to prove there's a creator.
But is that proof? Like
it's again, evidence. Sorry, it's not proof. I'm not proving anything. I can give evidence to.
It's evidence, but again, we're talking about like this is gonna make me look bad when this stuff comes out. but we're talking about an accident of a baby being born.
Step on an accident.
Okay, we're speaking about immaculate conception.
Okay,
and Jesus was born from immaculate conception. I don't even think you can't say it's immaculate conception because it's the only one that's ever happened in history. It's the only one that's ever happened. And if it's the only one that's ever happened, don't you have to question it because it's never happened again. It's never happened before. This thing happens and it is an accident. And this is where I go when I talk about the multiple versions of the Bible. If something happens and I go backwards and I write something to prove what's going to happen in the future, like if somebody can go in these different timelines, like you said, and go back and then I write, okay, this is what going to happen because it happened. It's like going back to the future and having the sports almanac and betting on a game that something happened already and you win because you guessed it, but you went back and had other information. So if you were if that happened, if you're God and that happened, and you go back and you tell somebody else and they write it, does that prove like
there's not like that?
What?
It's not like that though.
What is it like?
Okay, so all right, let's finish the atheist discussion and then we'll go on to why I think Jesus is God, because that's where we're headed with this. Okay. So just to put a pin in what I was saying.
Okay.
If science, I think everyone agrees that there was a starting point to the solar system, to our planets, all that. To believe that starting point came from intelligent God or nothing, I think the logical conclusion is that we were created, because it would be as silly as me throwing up, and I'm stealing this from someone, like a glass of milk and expecting it to land in the shape of a map of, London. Okay. That's not going to happen, right? So I'm saying that's how silly it would be. Is like, I would trust this map of this milk of this place I haven't been. That's my point, that it doesn't make sense to think that we came from nothing. And since I'm saying, since we came from a creator, that creator gave us value. So me hitting you is wrong because my creator says that you're, I shouldn't hurt you because you're loved by him. So like if there's no creator, then my good versus evil will be different than your good versus evil. But like since we're both accidents, we can't really say which one's better because morality has to come from our creator, not from us. That's the gist of my argument.
So wish we had a sponsor so we could take a commercial break.
You can pause it.
No, not like a real pause. Like I didn't need a real. It was just like, you wish it was like this is a perfect time.
Yeah.
Like in the movie, dun dun dun. So, what you're saying, and so when I look up stuff and you use the Google machine and things like that, and so it's like when you talk about the Big Bang Theory, which I understand that. So, do you believe in evolution? Do you believe that we came from these cells?
No, we're actually, as far as our human body is going, we're devolving, not evolving.
No, but no. You're talking about something totally different. You're on a whole different. That's not. Nope. So we're talking about evolution. I'm talking about where you think we are right now. I'm talking about. What? Stop.
Right, okay.
Talk about where we came from. Where science. Where. Man, calm down. What I'm saying is,
I'm calm.
when we go back and there's that picture of the ape, and we come from the ape and we evolve into a upright standing thing. That's the evolution thing that they have taught, and that is what an atheist believes when they talk about the Big Bang. And that, so when you talk about your logical thing, it's like to say we derive from like plants and all this stuff. Yes, you're completely right. And if an atheist thinks that there was no God and that the Big Bang Theory is where everything came from, I don't understand how me with teeth, lips, mouth, heart, lung, and everything could come from a plant or come from some cells, and how a cell can, the same cell can turn into a plant, me, a dog, a cat, or whatever. Like how that, so it doesn't make sense when an atheist believes that the Big Bang Theory and that just created everything. That makes no sense. And that is illogical to your point. So 100% to your point. Atheism is illogical. And that's the title of this thing. And I believe you 100%. But what we were talking about was morality. And morality, I believe, is different than the fact that even if somebody doesn't believe that there is a God, that they can't be moral. Now, their morals are their own morals. If they believe that somebody punching somebody in the face is good for them because they like getting punched in the face and that's a good thing, that is what their moral is. That's their moral compass. That doesn't mean that they're bad. If that's what they believe is real and that's what they believe can be done, then that doesn't make them bad. That makes them misguided. They don't know something. They're missing something. And that is, again, how they were raised, how they were taught to think. The same way that if we today take, and I don't know who did this study or who talked about this, was in a book I read a long time ago where you talk about, and I always steal it because it's something I truly believe when I talk about everything's made up and words are made up, is the fact that if we take these babies, just like kids are taught hate. They're taught it in the home. Kids aren't born with hate. Little kids want to find somebody their same size and play with them. If you take a whole bunch of babies and you raise them on an island and you take the dictionary and you just spin it around and you just basically move this word to that definition, this word to that definition, you just switch words around. And so you teach these kids that, hey, what we're talking on right now, I'm talking on this microphone, but this microphone really is a banana. And so they come to the world where people are taught something different based on the rules and words of wherever they land. And then people are going to look at them and say, well, you're crazy. That's not a banana. It's a microphone. No, it's a banana. And they're going to look at what their book is and say, this is what I was taught. This is a banana. That dog that you call a dog is a pig, or whatever the case may be. People are taught these things. Doesn't mean that they're bad, wrong, or wrong. It just means that that's different because of what they were taught and the beliefs of people that put that in there. Because again, these kids come back to the mainland where we're taught the way we've been taught. They're going to be looked at as weird and wrong and stupid because they are going to be saying something that's off the cuff because we have been taught one thing and they've been taught something else. So that's why I don't believe when we got in this argument about the morality piece of them, that they can't be any good in these people. I don't believe that they're bad. I just believe that their morals or their moral compass is pointing in a different direction because that's how they were raised. Not that they're bad.
I don't think I ever said they were bad. I'm saying
you said they can't be good. You said that. If you go back, you said they can't be good.
Oh, if I said that, what I'm trying to express is their
Why
definition
is he playing it in the middle of our podcast?
I think he's
Windex. Is that Windex?
No, it's the drawers. It's squeaky. I have an old home.
Okay. I threw you off.
That's fine. So you and I, let's say we're playing Uno. Okay. I have my house rules. I have my house rules.
I know.
You have your house rules, right?
Yep.
Who's right? How can I say this is how we play? How can you say this is how we play? We didn't make up the game.
But there's a rule. There's a rule book.
Exactly.
That comes with that game.
That's my point.
Whoever invented invented it.
Yes.
Whoever created the game.
Yeah, you're making my point.
The creator of the game wrote the instructions for the game. Mm-hmm. God didn't write the Bible. People wrote the Bible. God didn't write the Bible. So you can't say that,
gave us the rules in the Bible. They're not man-made.
Somebody wrote that didn't create life. The person who created life and created the things we're supposed to do is the one that writes the book.
Okay.
Just like when you write.
So that's where the hiccup is. All right.
Yeah, because if you have your house rules of you can't put a skip on top of another skip.
Okay.
But my rules is that I can, because that's how I played in my home. Neither one of us both of us are wrong, is because the instructions of whoever created the game.
So from my perspective, where I stand, and you don't have to agree with this, but I'm just saying this is where I'm speaking from. The Bible is the word of God. Even though man made it, it's inspired by the word of God. And I can give evidence to that, why I believe that later on.
And you just proved another point that inspired by. Okay. That's different than creating. Inspired by true events. When they make a movie and it's inspired by true events, that's not the real thing. And there are some things that are added, subtracted from the actual events to make it more, either to make it less hard, to make it less scary, make it less real, make it less whatever. So when it's inspired by something and somebody wrote it that didn't actually live it. So in the movie The Express, Ernie Davis didn't write the movie from his perspective about it. Somebody wrote it and they got his opinion on some of the things that were in there. And he said, okay, I agree with that. I say, you can put that in there. That's not exactly how it went, but I understand why you're trying to put it in there that way. That's what I'm saying when you talk about these different people that wrote a Bible that aren't the person that was there. Just like I equate it to movies. Talk about the book of Eli. He read a book that was in Braille, and he memorized it because he read it so often. And I don't know, and I gotta watch that movie again because I don't know if he was blind from the beginning of the movie or not. And it really bugs me because I don't think he was blind the whole movie. I think he went blind, but he just read a Braille Bible. But they wrote the Bible based off of his memory. Now, he was in fights all the time. It was sunny outside. His eyes was bad. Went blind. All these things happened to him, and he wrote and he regurgitated what he remembered from this book. And he said he memorized it. And that's how they got the version of the Bible. And that's a movie. But the same thing about what we're talking about is that, like I talked about in the first episode, is the different versions of a Bible written by people, not written by God. inspired by events that happened. They are not. It's the same thing we were talking about where this title came from. It came from Brown Sugar. If we look at another movie, The Best Man, he wrote a book. You can write it in your own idealistic little world, is what Quentin said to him when they're talking about how you can make the characters how you want to make the characters. These things that we're seeing were written by man. They weren't written by the person. So your Uno thing, we weren't looking at the instructions of the person that created the game or created the world, created Monopoly, created whatever. We weren't hearing it from them. They didn't write it down and say, this is what you're supposed to be doing. If you want to change it, you change it. We're getting it out.
They wrote down what they were told to in a lot of cases.
From different people.
Okay. So
from different prophets that were different prophets that wrote.
You touched on a lot. So we have to break it down in small parts because we can't cover it all.
So let's do this then. Let's just start it from just the Uno thing and the Uno game. And the Uno game has rules of how it's supposed to be played that are written for the game.
Back to the point I was trying to make, and we disagree with the premise. So my premise is, in this analogy, God created Uno. So I can't say my value of how I want to play the game differently is better than your value because neither of us created the game. So in my analogy, I'm basically saying your morality, even though we can have, things that are good and bad, and I'm not saying atheists are bad. I'm saying they can't say you shouldn't do this to anyone because they're just using themselves as their God, basically. They're the what they hold most high is their brain. And how can I say that the way I think is better than the way you think?
Okay. So if God created us all, created us in his image, doesn't matter if atheists believe it or not, if God created us all in his image and we are in his likeness, God knows what we are going to do before we do it, and it's been written. And it's already, our path is already there. No matter what I do, the foundation is not doing too well right now. Bringing in $150 a month, and I can't keep the lights on. So I'm debating on whether I keep going with this, invest the 20 hours, 30 hours a week I'm putting in, or I don't. So God knows that for 5 years, going to our 5th year, for 4 years, I was going to struggle with this. Maybe this year something will happen and it'll pop off. But I say all this to say there's a city in Cleveland, Ohio called Huff. The neighborhood is Huff. Okay. The murder capital, the murder rate is 335% of the national average in that little block. It's 8,500 people or less that live in this block. You go there, 1 in 16 people will be involved in crime in this neighborhood. This neighborhood right across the street. My streets put this in. Where Bone talks about my streets that I grew up on, put that in, and then we're the border for the Superior, 105, Euclid. Those are all borders of this neighborhood of Huff. Bad. It can be, you look at any crime. If you look at the first 48, it always something happening in Cleveland. What I'm saying is that if we have these people created, everybody's created from God's image. God knows what these people are going to do, and he put this in, and he knows the path of them. They can't, it's not, is it their fault that they are quote unquote bad or doing bad things?
Okay.
Because
go ahead. I'll let you finish.
The reason why I'm asking that is because, again, if we are talking about good, bad morals and things like that, everybody, our path has already been set and already been made. Can we explain why there is this crime, why there is this disparity, why there is these different things? Can we explain that?
I can explain that according to the Bible, but you're making the argument based off of we can't, what we're going to do is already determined, and we have free will. Just because God knows what we're going to do doesn't mean he's controlling us. So that's how the Bible says it.
Exactly. I understand free will. What I'm saying is it's written. What I'm saying is We are making these choices, and God knows these choices that we're going to make. He knows we're going to make the choice to go
just because he's
right.
outside of time, so he knows what we're going to do. Yes.
He says what?
He's outside of time, so he can see tomorrow.
Okay.
So that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, I just wanted to clear that up. It's not like we're. It's not like I'm determined to say the next word. I have the choice to do what I want to do. I can just sign off right now. God just knows what I'm going to do because he can see it. Not that he's going to, like, we're not puppets. I'm not saying you said that. I'm just saying that it sounded like you did. So I'm just trying to clear it up just in case someone understood, or the three people might have heard that.
I don't think three people that listen misunderstood anything I just said.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I don't think that, like I said, that our life is predetermined. Like, our life is going to go to path. I'm not saying puppets, but our life is going to go to path. Our life is going to go. He's not interfering. He's not interfering in those.
Predetermined makes it sound like we have no choice. That's how I took it. But that's fine.
So when I say, and I'll clarify for our three listeners, when I say predetermined, I mean that God knows I'm going to die when I'm 63, 7 days, 30 seconds, or whatnot. He knows that's when I'm going to die. He knows all the choices that I make. He knows those. When I say predetermined, I can't change. I don't feel that I can change that. If I stay on here, if I say, okay, we normally do this for an hour, and I say, okay, we're at a minute. Like one time we had an hour and 4 minutes. I'm like, oh, we can't go over an hour and 5 minutes. We go over an hour and 5 minutes. You know, I'm signing off at an hour and 5 minutes, and that extra minute is going to change everything in my life. No, it's already been. He already knew. It already was basically determined I was going to go that extra minute over, and my life is going to go the way it's going to go. That doesn't change it. Now, if I say, okay, we normally go 1 minute and 4 minutes, and I'm going to go an hour and 3 minutes, I'm going to go shorter. That's not going to change either. I'm just saying that these things are there. So we have these. So God knows that this person doesn't believe in this. He knows that this person is going to do bad in this. This person doesn't believe in him, and they're going to go about and do their own thing. That's the gist of what I'm trying to say. So that's why when we get on the morality piece, like, the compass is different, but God created everybody in that image. So if he didn't create bad people, did he create bad people?
The Bible says we're all bad and wicked. We're only good as, God.
We're only good as God.
No, only good is God. So we're all, like, outside of God, we're all bad.
So how do you know your morality is right? If you're wicked and a man of the word, if you're wicked,
my morality isn't right. I'm saying I have to go by what God says. Your argument earlier was that you can't trust what the Bible says, and that we can go into that, and that's where I thought we were going. But just to establish, like,
we hit on so much stuff, we need to have a script.
I know, but my point is, just from the whole morality standpoint, it's just an argument against atheism, because we can't have this good or bad conversation if there's no God. That's all my point is. Not that someone's good or bad. I'm just saying, if you're an atheist, you can't have the conversation, because we're just arguing whose house rules of Uno we're going to play at that point.
So, yeah, I get that. I just look at it and say, if I am sitting here and I went to Jamaica back in like 2008, and it was a community bag of weed floating around there. It was the weirdest thing ever. People just passing weed on, like, hey, we're going out of town, we're leaving, here's a bag of weed. Like, what? Oh, you seem like cool people. You're not going to tell on us that we have this weed, which is weird. But I went down there and I went snorkeling, and the only black person there in this group. I was in the middle of water. I was in this group. Okay. I was in the middle of the people. So they were in a circle looking at all the fish. I sat in the middle of it and looked at the fish. I didn't put my head underwater because I'm like, if something comes there, I'm going to eat these people. We were all out there. The people were there. I'm there. We're sitting there. And people that were there didn't believe that, oh, a shark can't come get me. I'm going to sit here and look in the water. I don't believe that this is going to happen to me. My analogy with that is that there are things that people do that they don't believe something's going to happen to them. They don't believe in these things. because it's never happened to them. So if there's an atheist person out there, something's never happened to them to make them have to believe, because an atheist can change, right?
Right, yeah.
So
I hope they do.
I just get, like, if we're all bad and we all have wickedness in us, we can't label atheists as good or bad. We can't label ourselves as good or bad because we're all bad.
But then we just did.
We just did what? We're all bad.
Yeah.
So
we're all bad.
Our morals mean nothing. Their morals mean
our idea of morals, because there's stuff in the Bible I don't like. But I can't say.
We got to get on that. We got to talk about that.
My life would be so easier if I didn't have to say, like, the alphabet community was living outside of what God designed us to be. If I could say you can love who you love and everything like that.
Why can't you say that?
Because that's not biblical.
But man wrote the Bible.
God wrote the Bible.
God did not write the Bible.
In a sense. Like,
no sense.
Okay. Yes, in a sense. All right. So what are the likelihood of you, George Trice, and your wife, who lives in the same house, sit down and write a story and it would line up? You're not writing it together, but you guys sit down and you can even say, like, let's write a story about what?
No, because I tell my wife, I say 5 words to my wife.
You help me out.
Yes, but that's okay. But okay, look, we both got in the car. And who texted me? My bowling team. I bowl on Wednesdays, y'all, but we're on a break for the month, so that's why we're doing a podcast on a Wednesday. But if me and Lisa or you and Tina get in the car and you say, hey, we're going somewhere, and we get in the car and we go somewhere, and then we come back home and we sit down and say, hey, write about what we did and what happened from the time we left here, went to the store, and came back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the gist of the story is going to be 100% the same. The perspective may be a little bit different because if I'm driving, my head's on a swivel because I got to watch both mirrors on the side. I got to watch the back mirror. I got to watch who's creeping on behind me. So I'm looking at certain things in there, and I'm more observant than my wife may be, because now I have looked at all the cars on there. I know there was 5 red cars, 2 white cars. There was a Mercedes that pulled up to me that I liked because I like the color of it. And then we went to the store. We got this stuff. I spent this much thing. I did my app. So I'm looking at the app, scanning stuff. So all that stuff is factual. But from her side of the story, I was in the car. I sent my husband 5 reels about cats. And then we went to the store, and I was looking at everything and just throwing stuff in the cart. I don't even know what I put in the cart because she didn't see the bill. I scanned everything. We get home. I'm driving again. I see the same thing. And then she writes about that. So she's going to write about what she saw and observed while she either fell asleep and was snoring in the car or whatever the case may be. So the stories, the gist of the story and where we went is going to be the exact same. We both went to Sam's Club. We both then came home. So the beginning of the story and the end of the story are going to be the exact same, because that's what happened. Because if I say this is direction, where did we go? We left the house. Where did we went? And then write about that. Okay. But her perspective is going to be different because she saw different things, because she wasn't as observant as me, because she didn't have to be, because she was not the driver, or she was paying attention to something else because she didn't have to. So there are going to be some things in her story that I could sit there and say that didn't happen because I didn't see it from her perspective, because I wasn't paying attention to that, because I had to pay attention to other things.
Okay. You kind of went off what I was trying to say. Basically, okay. I'm asking how likely is it that 2 people can write a story, like say like you're going to write a Western and someone's going to rob a bank and then there's going to be a bounty hunter. That's the premise of the story. Mm-hmm. What are the likelihoods that the 2 stories will align, that you could almost say? Right. All right. So the reason why I can say there's evidence that God had his hand on the Bible and I can trust it is because the Bible had 40 different over 40 different authors, and was written over 1,500 years. And there's many people who want to discredit the Bible, and the best they can come up with after they do go over the history and all the other stuff is that Jesus didn't die. It's lying. Not that they can definitively disprove it. They can't.
So right now, Jesus is 2,024 years old.
No, Jesus is not an age. There's no Jesus is outside.
No, there's time. There's a time
for the man.
We are AD. If we have to put some, we got to put some kind of time frame on it. So if we are AD from when they talk about when he died and was put in the tomb with the big rock over it, that's what starts AD. When he rose, that starts after death. So right now we are in 2024, technically 2024 AD after the death. Okay. So it's 2,024 years based on whatever time it is. But technically, if it's only supposed to be 12 months, it's actually 13 months in there because some months have 4 months, have 5 months, which gives an extra month. So there's actually 4 months in
4 weeks. Everything's 4 weeks.
Yeah. Yes. So we got that extra week. We only celebrate 12 of those. So what you're saying, so you can add another year in that and you can add another month in that 2,000. So whatever it is. So what you're saying is, if it was written by 40 different people over 1,500 years, and this person is supposedly alive for 2,024 years, or for those 1,500 years, he was alive all 1,500 of those years. Come on, man.
I don't understand your argument, but according to the Bible, Jesus is in heaven, so he's not walking the earth right now.
Well, okay, so because he's dead.
He's not dead.
Heaven's an afterlife. Heaven's a spirit world. Heaven's where our
just secondary. Because he's in heaven doesn't mean he's dead.
How can you live on two different planes? How can you live on two different planes? The earthly plane and the heavenly plane. You can't live on two different planes.
We have 3 minutes, and we're gonna get into something kind of deep right now. What's the definition of death?
I don't know the definition of death. When you stop breathing.
Okay, so do you believe that we have souls? We're spirits. Do you believe that or no?
I do.
Okay. So my argument.
I know my dog. My dog is somebody that's died in my life.
Okay.
And that soul is in that dog.
We're made of our bodies are made of atoms. So the same atoms that make up your table make up you. They just we're animated
together. H1O it makes a different compound. I get it.
We're animated by our spirit. So what God gave us, because otherwise we're no different than any object.
Okay.
So I guess my point is death is separating that spirit from the flesh. That spirit still exists.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So that happened to Jesus.
Okay.
His body stopped breathing.
His body died. He died.
Yes, he died.
You just said he's not dead. With the whole
listen to me. This is the whole reason why I have faith is because this happened.
Okay.
His body. The Romans were very good at killing people. Very good. He died. The Bible said he was going to die and come back in 3 days. 3 days later, the tomb is empty. He is seen by 500 people at least.
Okay.
He, according to those people, no. According to those people, the witnesses, the people that knew him, a lot of their life changed after that. After they saw him again, that's when the church started. Christian church started after they saw him, and they wrote under the threat of death. So they really believed it, that he ascended into heaven, that he didn't die again. Jesus never died again after that. He just went to heaven.
I wasn't frozen. I was just sitting there.
Yeah, your TV is moving, so you couldn't freeze.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I know we only have 3 minutes left. I said we were getting something deep and we can't finish it.
Yeah, I mean that's something good to talk about. I guess the next episode ain't gonna be called Dinosaurs. It's gonna be called How Does a Flesh Body Go into Heaven? That's basically what it's gonna be called. Like, how does a flesh body go in heaven?
I want to talk about, before we get off, because you were talking about like just you can just write something, and since you know the ending, you can write from like a standpoint of the future. But the Bible, that's not possible, because Isaiah, the book of Isaiah was written, I want to say it's like 400 years before, 400 or 700, I don't know exactly, but definitely centuries before Jesus was walking the earth. And in the book of Isaiah, it said things that Jesus was going to do. So they already knew it. Like the people there had the book of Isaiah. They had it memorized. So like they couldn't, like Jesus had to do the prophecies. He couldn't just make it up and then rewrite it. They already had it. And the Jewish people would have said, no, you're changing stuff. They wouldn't have let him change it.
But you also said that there is no definition of time.
Well, the Bible,
and on that
for Jesus, yes, Jesus lives outside of time.
There's no definition of time.
I didn't say there's no definition of time.
You said the time doesn't matter
to Jesus. Yeah.
And on that note,
Jesus is my goat.
Jesus, hype man said, Jesus is goat. I'm that dude. This is deep. I mean, I want to get like, I haven't posted this on any social media yet because
you should clip it and put something in it.
Do a clip in it?
Yeah, do a clip in the socials.
So we're gonna do a
not
clip.
Not X though. I don't want to support.
Eli, do you want to go to space?
No.
You'll never want to go to space.
I'm good.
I don't want to go to space. I want to see somewhere. If it's real, because they say it was a flat Earth.
The Earth. And
I was in the I was in a cab with a driver for 2 hours in Chicago talking about flat Earth.
Okay.
Basically, the Earth is on stilts.
That makes a lot of sense. So we're the only flat thing, because we can see the other planets. They're all round. We're flat.
Those is just
that make sense, huh?
Those are plates in the air. They just
plate. Rhonda.
You gonna be? Can't say that. I put the no explicit filter on this one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got a lot to catch up on. This thing can go. We good though. We good. Mm-hmm. So, thanks for listening. If you have listened, if you're going to listen, thank you.
Let's get up to 20 followers.
And if you follow us on the YouTube page, you don't got to go anonymous because we want to know who you are. I know 3 of y'all. One of them is Brandon. Everybody else is only 3 people that want to let people know that they actually listen to this. The other 16 of y'all.
No, let's not go too far and say they listen. let's just say they push the button
in the fall.
Yeah, let's rush hour this. Let's get people to push the button.
All right, push the button.
All right.
I'll let you.
Yeah. What?